Welcome to the first episode of Balancing It, where I will go over different weapons, vehicles, or mechanics of Planetside, and then determine whether it's balanced or unbalanced. In this first episode, I will be tackling the 3 faction-specific heavy guns, going over their perks, setbacks, in addition to showing off where they perform best. There are 3 heavy guns in the game. For the new conglomerate, it's going to be the NC05 Jackhammer. For the TR, it's going to be the T7 mini chain gun. And for the VS, it's going to be the Lasher X2. Let's start this off with the Jackhammer. It's a very powerful shotgun that has 15 rounds per magazine. You can also add extended mags, which increases that by 3. It has a fire rate of 225 rounds per minute, and it shoots 5 pellets per shell. Each pellet does 112 damage, and the pellets also do not have a damage drop-off, so they will deal 112 damage regardless of range. The Jackhammer has a short reload of 2.7 seconds or a long reload of 3.7 seconds, which is very manageable for its 15 round magazine. With those stats out of the way, let's go ahead and tackle the one thing that makes it exceptionally good and better than any other shotgun in the game. That's the fact that it has a 3-round burst mode. With this mode, you can kick out 1680 damage in just one trigger pull. This is why so many people hate it, is because 1680 damage means I don't care if you have a shield, I don't care if you have nano weave. I hit all my shots, you will die, regardless. Period. End of story. Exclamation point. This actually beats out the damage profiles of sniper rifles, pump-action shotguns, every rocket launcher, most guns even if they land headshots. It deals more damage than tank rounds, etc. Now, here is why it is balanced, because many people think with that high of an alpha damage, there's no way that's balanced, people must be cheating, it's stupid, they should just get rid of the gun, they should change it, or whatever. But here's the setbacks that the gun has. While its pellets do not have a damage fall-off, the damage fall-off is the fact that it's a shotgun, and the shotgun pellet spread is what will limit how much damage you can do at range. It also makes it so you can't be precise anywhere past spitting distance. And the only way to mitigate this would be if the dev team allowed it to have slugs, which I think that would be a horrible idea. It would make it completely overpowered. So that's kind of just something that people who use this gun have to deal with, is the fact that you won't be precise. A disadvantage to the alpha damage is you will annihilate infantry. However, it's not quite enough damage per second to deal with maxes efficiently. You can kick out a lot of damage in one burst, but that one burst isn't going to kill the max, and that's where alpha damage weapons in general seem to fail, is their damage per second can't keep up with damaging something that won't be killed in 1 or 2 shots. Many people would also say that the split-second rechamber time for the 3-round burst mode is also a disadvantage. I think it's just one thing that you have to deal with, just like pump-action shotguns, you have that rechamber time. And it's really not that big of a deal. Like, it's very easily compensated for. It's not something that changes your whole gameplay. So really, while people do say it is annoying, I admit that when I play on other teams, I can't stand it when people use the Jackhammer. It's just cheesing everyone. However, it is balanced. And it's balanced for one simple thing. It's still a shotgun. Doesn't matter how many extra things you throw on it, it's still just a shotgun. And shotguns in general are almost never overpowered regardless of the game or genre, just because it's a shotgun. You may be extremely powerful at close range, even unstoppable sometimes, but you get past spitting distance and you're one of the weakest people there. Next up, let's talk about the Terran Republic T7 minigun. Out to 10 meters, it'll deal 143 damage, dropping down to 125 at 39 meters, and 112 out from 60. Has a fire rate of 800 rounds per minute. There is a spin up, so that is not completely true, but that is its max fire rate. Has a short reload of 4.39 seconds and a long reload of 5.39. It has a 125 round drum. It can be doubled with extended mag. The 800 rounds per minute can be improved to 845 if you equip the ballistic rapid refire toggle, but that will take the place of the extended mags. I personally recommend using the extended mag over the ballistic rapid refire toggle, purely because you have more ammunition. You don't have to sit through the long reload time as often, and on top of that, the refire toggle increases your rate of fire only by 45 rounds. That's not really a big deal. It does also reduce the time it takes your gun to spin up, so you'll reach that high fire rate faster. I'll talk more about that later when I get to the strategies of using the gun. Another aspect of the minigun is it has a cone of fire for its aim down sights. It's simply just the same cone of fire it uses for hip firing, just a little bit smaller and slightly more focused. But the advantage of this is its cone of fire will never increase because you're firing too much, which means that full 250 round drum, you can dump it without having to burst fire or anything like that. While the gun's damage profile is not designed for long ranges, you can use it all the way up to about 39 to 60 meters is what I would recommend with it, because you're just launching so many rounds down range that you're bound to hit something. And at close range, it's also decent because of the 800 round per minute fire rate. You can drop targets near instantly the second you turn a corner, as long as you know how to start pre-firing to be able to get it up to the full rate of fire. In fact, in every situation where the minigun should be used, you do not have to worry about the spin-up delay whatsoever, because in every situation it should be used, you have time to pre-fire it before the enemy is nearby. The only thing that it's not good for is split-second decisions, or you're getting flanked, someone comes up behind you with a shotgun or a jackhammer, for example. Yeah, you're gonna lose that engagement. Once you take all this into account, the T7 minigun is balanced. It is really balanced. It's exceptionally balanced because it has incredible high rates of fire, but it's not accurate. And it's not accurate in a way to where there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you have an inaccurate LMG or a carbine, you can burst fire it. However, with the minigun, if you try to burst fire it, your fire rate is no longer high. Your damage per second will extremely suffer, and thereby removing that one benefit it had. And in addition to that, you're probably not going to hit anything even if you do burst fire it, because you can't aim down sights very well. And the best way to be able to counter someone with a minigun is wait for a reload time where you have nearly 4.5 seconds that you can go in there and do something about them, or get the jump on them, catch them around a corner, drop down as a light assault, shotguns, anything with high damage, or anything with high alpha damage, like a sniper rifle, or a crossbow with a knife combo, or the jackhammer. Anything that can kill them in one shot, that's going to be your best bet to take these guys out. Last one up is the Lasher X2. It deals 155 out to 10 meters, 125 out to 43, and 105 out to 65. It also has an indirect damage of 75, which means if you land a direct hit, the new totals are 230 out to 10, 200 out to 43, and 180 out to 65 meters. It has a fire rate of 333 rounds per minute. It has a 4.2 short reload and a 5.2 long reload. Has a very controllable aim down sights recoil, and while hip firing, the cone of fire does not increase. Having a laser sight on it does actually help. Unlike the other two heavy guns on this list, I would not recommend laser sights, but on the Lasher, a laser sight might actually not be a bad idea. It has a magazine of 75, It can be doubled with extended mags. This, coupled with its low rate of fire, means you rarely have to reload, and when you do, it's still shorter than the minigun. The big perk of this gun is that it causes splash damage pretty decently too, so it's amazing for suppression. In my opinion, it's one of the best suppression guns in the game due to the fact that it has a blast radius. This, however, does allow it to hit allies very easily. Luckily, the splash damage is decreased against allies, even though it causes splash damage and you may want to shoot at the ground. Direct hits are very valuable as it can significantly increase your damage output on individual targets. A few unforeseen benefits that many people forget about when using the Lasher is the fact that it can deal splash damage means you can hit targets from around the corner. This becomes especially useful when going against, a certain team that happens to have a gun that requires you to pre-fire. As they're slowly aiming down sights walking around the corner, you can be damaging them the entire time they're doing that. Also, because its suppression is not based off of fire rate, it's based off of splash damage, you can effectively engage as many people in an area as you can as long as they're within your splash range. So for example, if you had the Jackhammer, or really any gun, that one-shots, okay, you one-shot, you kill one guy, you reload, or whatever. With the minigun, you can dump your magazine, you maybe kill 3 people. The difference is they have to engage them still one target at a time. The Lasher can engage as many targets as are in its splash range. That's why it's amazing for massive fights, because you don't have to worry about, I don't know who to target. It's you just point it at the group and you hit everyone. Now, in reality, every gun in the game is obviously better when it's grouped with more people. I mean, that just makes sense. But this gun specifically is exponentially better when it's grouped with 2 or 3 people, because you're all shooting the same people and you're dealing damage to the entire group, and all of you are hitting the whole group. So you can have 3 people dealing the same amount of damage as an entire squad of people from the Terran Republic or NC, as long as you're all shooting the same group, yet you don't have to worry about individually targeting people, you just point and shoot. The Lasher's downsides then start to come when you aren't in a group, or you're by yourself. This is not a gun for CQC or 1v1 situations. It's best when it's paired with other people because it's a suppression gun. Or if you have the Jackhammer is an assault gun. It's great for going one-on-one with people, or you dump a burst, you kill them, whatever, that's the end of the fight. Whereas you get the minigun, you pop around the corner and you dump your magazine, you kill a guy, okay, that's the end of that fight. This one, you're going to be dumping your mag all day long trying to kill one person, just because per shot it is so bad against infantry, or against anyone. It's just incredibly bad. And same thing against maxes. Because its damage per second is the lowest of the 3 heavy guns, this is the one gun I would not recommend for use against a max suit. However, one more benefit that it does have relating to maxes, everyone knows those NC maxes that run up with the shields, and you just dump your whole mag into it. Hopefully you can drop the shield in time to be able to actually damage the max suit before he runs away to his pocket NG. Well, with the Lasher, you don't have to worry about that. With the Lasher, you just point at the floor, it goes directly around the shield, and you can still hit him. Also, at very point-blank range, you can hit yourself with your own projectiles. I think that's kind of obvious, but once again, it just doesn't really do a whole lot to use specifically. If you don't try and use it over long ranges, because the projectiles move incredibly slow, unless you're shooting at a stationary group. Now, as far as countering this, the best way you can counter this is the same way you can counter the miniguns. If you rush up on them, their damage per second isn't high enough to mess with you if you had like a submachine gun or a shotgun or anything like that. There's a little bit more leeway compared to the minigun, because the minigun will eventually speed up and will annihilate your face into the floor. But if you just run in there with a shotgun, you should be fine. Another way you can take it out without having to get point blank range is snipers. A lot of people who use the Lasher stand perfectly still. So it's amazing target practice if you're ever in the mood for sniping. The only ones you have to worry about are the veterans who still use the Lasher, because the Lasher is very accurate, so veterans will still strafe with it, and it's extremely hard to hit them. Now that you know the upsides and downsides to each gun, let's get into which one is the best. When dealing with faction-specific guns, each team has their own version of each gun. Each team has a long-range carbine, each team has a short-range LMG, so on and so forth. However, when dealing with these heavy guns, through looking at the stats and how they perform, that's simply not the case. You can't compare these three guns. The minigun and the Lasher can be compared, but really the Jackhammer should be in its own separate classification. The best way that I could describe it would be if the TR and the VS both got something that is a high alpha damage gun, and then give the NC their specialty gun that would line up then with the mini chain gun and the Lasher for suppression. But as far as suppression, the only thing that the Jackhammer is good at is the first person who walks in that door is going to get barrel stuffed, and then after that you might be able to take down one or two more people. But as far as dealing with large groups, the minigun would do decently, and then the Lasher would excel. That's really just how it goes. The Jackhammer could handle probably up to 3 people. The minigun can handle maybe up to 9, depending on your upgrade path. And then the Lasher can handle as many people that can fit in its blast radius. However, on the other side, as far as dealing with lower numbers of people and attacking rather than defending, the Jackhammer will perform much better due to its high alpha damage. The minigun would perform better than the Lasher because of its high damage per second, whereas the Lasher, you would probably want to avoid using that in a full-on attack unless you have a good squad behind you and you're prepared to defend later on. So in short, no, there is no one that's better than the other. However, it does form a triangle. The Lasher beats the minigun beats the Jackhammer, and the Jackhammer beats the Lasher. The reason for this is the way the Lasher works with hitting around the corner. It counters the ability of the person with the minigun to be able to pre-fire and then slowly move into range, because they're being shot the entire time that they're moving into range. The minigun beats the Jackhammer because if it's being done correctly in a suppression situation, the second the Jackhammer turns that corner, he's going to get popped 11 times in the head, and then he's not going to be able to do anything, because the minigun can be used from across a room, and the Jackhammer can't. Then the Jackhammer will beat the Lasher, because the way you use the Jackhammer is you move up on them as fast as possible and drop them. A Lasher cannot take down someone that quickly if the person who's using the Jackhammer is doing it right. If they move quickly enough, then the Jackhammer should have no problem taking out the Lasher before the Lasher can kill the user. Now the last bit that I talk about here is going to be the tips and strategies for using each gun, kind of summed up. So with the Jackhammer, you don't really need to attach anything. If you want, you can go ahead and attach the extended mag. That's literally just a straight up upgrade. But aside from that, it's ready to go the second you buy it. You can buy a sight for it as well, but don't really worry too much about that. You're not going to be zooming in 4 times to see someone 3 inches from your face. As far as the T7 mini chain gun, I would recommend that you get the double mag, purely because there's no downside to it. You get more ammunition. Whereas using the ballistic rapid refire toggle, that increases your fire rate, meaning you drain your rounds even faster, and have to go through that long reload again. And then the Lasher is also good just straight up out of the gate. You can use it however you like, but I would recommend that you get a 1 or 2x sight and then add the extended mag to that, or if you're feeling a bit more competitive, go for the laser sight. As far as sidearms, you want a good sidearm for all 3 of these guns. However, you need them for a different reason for each gun. For the Jackhammer, you're going to want a very accurate sidearm, so I would recommend either the Commissioner or the Rebel. I would not go for the Blackhand. I think that would probably be a bit of overkill as far as accuracy. For the Minigun, get something that you're comfortable with, something that you can kill something with fairly effectively, preferably at close range. However, make sure that it's usable at longer ranges. Like, I would personally recommend the Emperor or the Inquisitor. And as far as using a sidearm for the Lasher, I would recommend the Spiker, the Underboss, or the Commissioner, as they are all very good close range weapons and they can kill very effectively. Now you're going to want these sidearms for the following reasons. The Jackhammer is not accurate, so you're going to want those accurate sidearms. For the minigun, it has a very long reload, so you need something with a large magazine size that can kill effectively. You're going to need something that can kill effectively for the Lasher, just in case someone gets too close to you or you go into a one-on-one situation. That'll wrap it up for today. Thank you for sticking till the end of the video. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe to make sure you never miss a new video. For more discussions, gameplay, and tutorials, stay tuned to Free2bPG.